First contact, first victory. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the command deck of the ESV Thunderchild, her steel-gray eyes reflecting the holographic display of uncharted space before her. Humanity's first true interstellar battleship hummed with power beneath her feet, a testament to human determination after the devastating Proxima War that had nearly wiped out Earth's first extrasolar colony. Transition from fold space complete, Captain, announced Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Takeda, his fingers dancing across the navigation console. All systems nominal. We've arrived at the coordinates exactly as planned. Good work, navigation, Ilara replied, brushing a strand of short black hair from her face. Science Officer Reynolds, what are we looking at? Dr. Iris Reynolds studied her readouts with a furrowed brow. It's exactly as the probes reported, Captain. An uncharted star system with multiple habitable planets showing signs of advanced civilization. Artificial structures detected on the third and fourth planets. But there's something else now. She paused, adjusting her instruments. Multiple energy signatures in orbit around the third planet. They're moving, and they're massive. Ships? Ilara asked, leaning forward. If they are, they're unlike anything in our database. Each one is at least 3 times our size. The bridge fell silent. The Thunderchild was already the largest vessel humanity had ever constructed, a kilometer-long marvel of engineering that had depleted the resources of 3 asteroid mining operations. Comms, broadcast standard first contact package on all frequencies, Ilara ordered. Let's not be rude neighbors. Communications Officer Pavel Volkov nodded, his expression tense. Broadcasting now, Captain. No response yet. Ilara wasn't surprised. Despite humanity's advances in propulsion technology, they were still newcomers to interstellar travel. The Fold space drive was experimental at best, the brainchild of Dr. Maria Chen, who now served as the Thunderchild's chief engineer. It allowed them to cross vast distances by temporarily folding spacetime, but it was unpredictable and energy-intensive. Captain, the energy signatures are changing course, Tactical Officer Amara Okafor reported, her Nigerian accent clipped with tension. They're heading directly toward us, accelerating rapidly. Defensive posture, but keep weapons cold, Ilara ordered. We're here to make friends if possible. The holographic display zoomed in on the approaching vessels. They were unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived. Organic-looking constructs of gleaming metal with multiple protrusions that pulsed with energy. No visible propulsion systems, yet they moved with impossible speed. Incoming transmission, Volkov announced. Audio only. The translator is processing. A harsh, guttural voice filled the bridge, making several crew members wince. The ship's AI translated moments later. Unidentified vessel, you have entered Kravor Dominion space. Your technology is primitive. Your design is inefficient. Surrender your vessel for analysis and your crew for processing or be destroyed. Ilara's jaw tightened. That's not very neighborly. They're scanning us intensively, Reynolds reported, attempting to penetrate our systems. Countermeasures, Ilara ordered. Protect the Fold drive specifications at all costs. Captain, they've locked weapons, Okafor warned. Energy buildup detected in their forward arrays. Ilara made her decision in a heartbeat. Shields to maximum. Tactical. Bring weapons online. Target their propulsion if possible. I want to disable, not destroy. Aye, Captain, but our kinetic accelerators may not. The bridge lurched violently as the first enemy blast struck the Thunderchild. Emergency lights flashed as damage reports flooded in. Shields holding at 82%, reported Commander Nathan Chen, the ship's XO. That was just one of their smaller vessels, Captain. Return fire, Ilara ordered. Let's show them what primitive can do. The Thunderchild's main kinetic accelerators fired, launching specially designed projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The shields of the closest Kravor vessel flared brilliantly as they absorbed the impact. No apparent damage, Okafor reported, frustration evident in her voice. Try the HFY cannons, Ilara commanded. High-energy radio frequency weapons have been developed during the Proxima War as a last-ditch defense against enemy electronics. The HFY cannons discharge invisible beams of concentrated radio waves targeting the Cravor vessels. To everyone's surprise, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The nearest enemy ship's energy field fluctuated wildly before collapsing entirely. Direct hit, Okafor exclaimed. Their shields are down. Their systems appear to be extremely vulnerable to our HFY technology, Reynolds added, analyzing the data. It's as if they've never encountered it before. Ilara didn't waste the opportunity. Fire kinetics again, same target. This time, the accelerator round struck the Cravor ship's hull directly. Explosions blossomed across its surface as the relativistic projectiles transferred their enormous kinetic energy on impact. The remaining Cravor vessels adjusted their formation, suddenly more cautious. They're retreating to a defensive posture, Okafor noted with surprise. Another transmission coming in, Volkov announced. The same harsh voice returned, but with a noticeable change in tone. Unknown vessel, your weapons technology is unexpected. The Dominion offers an exchange of information as equals. Cease fire and prepare for delegation. They're lying, Chen said quietly beside Ilara. Tactical shows they're repositioning for a coordinated attack. Ilara nodded. I thought as much. All hands, prepare for evasive action. Dr. Chen, I need options from engineering. The comm system crackled as Maria Chen's voice came through from engineering. Captain, I've been analyzing their shield technology. It's tuned to stop energy weapons and matter traveling at sub-relativistic speeds, standard protection in their arsenal, I'm guessing. But they've got nothing comparable to our HFY technology, and they haven't adapted to our kinetic rounds yet. Can we exploit that? Ilara asked. I can modify our remaining HFY cannons to emit a broader spectrum pulse. It won't be as focused, but it might disrupt multiple ships at once. And if we detonate a kinetic round just before impact, the resulting particle shower might bypass their adaptive shielding entirely. Do it, Ilara ordered. Tactical, prepare to implement Dr. Chen's modifications. Navigation, plot us a course that keeps us at optimal HFY range. As the Thunderchild maneuvered, the Cravor ships launched their coordinated attack. Energy beams converged on the human vessel from multiple directions. Shields at 54%, reported the damage control officer. We can't take many more hits like that. Modifications complete, Okafor announced. HFY cannons recalibrated and ready. Target the lead vessels and fire, Ilara commanded. The modified HFY cannons discharge, sending waves of disruption across the Cravor formation. 3 enemy vessels suddenly lost power, their energy fields collapsing as their systems went haywire. Kinetics, fire at will, Ilara ordered. Use the modified detonation sequence. The accelerator rounds launched, detonating just before impact and showering the vulnerable Cravor ships with high-velocity particles that bypassed their struggling shields. 2 enemy vessels broke apart under the assault, while a third spun out of control, venting atmosphere. The remaining Cravor ships began to retreat in earnest. They're breaking formation, Okafor reported with disbelief. They're actually running. Should we pursue? Chen asked. Ilara shook her head. No. We've made our point. Let them go and report that humans aren't the easy prey they thought we'd be. As the Cravor ships disappeared into the distance, a new signal appeared on the long-range sensors. Captain, I'm detecting another vessel approaching, Reynolds announced. Different design completely. It's broadcasting on all frequencies. On screen, Ilara ordered. The holographic display shifted to show a sleek, crystalline vessel that seemed to shimmer with internal light. A new voice, melodious and calm, filled the bridge. Greetings, vessel of Earth. I am Ambassador Liriani of the Galactic Concordat. We observe your encounter with the Cravor Dominion. It seems we have much to discuss. Your species has surprised us. Ilara exchanged glances with her XO before responding. This is Captain Ilara Voss of the Earth space vessel Thunderchild. We're always open to diplomatic conversations, especially after such an interesting welcome to the neighborhood. Indeed, the ambassador replied, with what sounded like humor in their voice. The galaxy has just become a significantly more interesting place. The Kravor have dominated this sector for centuries with their technological superiority. Until today. Ilara raised an eyebrow. We just defended ourselves. With technology the Kravor considered beneath notice, Liriani responded, You must understand, Captain, most spacefaring races follow similar technological development paths. The Kravor's energy-based weapons and shields are considered the pinnacle of military technology. What did you call them? HFY cannons and kinetic accelerators. These are typically abandoned by species once they develop more advanced energy weapons. We developed our technology to address specific threats, Ilara explained. During the Proxima War, we learned not to abandon effective weapons just because something newer comes along. A philosophy that has served you well today, Liriani observed. The Concordat would welcome a diplomatic exchange with your species. The balance of power in this sector has shifted with your arrival, whether you intended it or not. Ilara considered the implications of what had just happened. One battle, and humanity had apparently upended centuries of established galactic politics. We accept your invitation, Ambassador, she finally said. I believe we have much to learn from each other. As the crystalline ship approached for the first formal diplomatic contact, Ilara couldn't help but feel that humanity's journey among the stars had taken an unexpected turn. They had come seeking new frontiers and scientific discovery. Instead, they had announced their presence to the galaxy with an accidental demonstration of military might. The Thunderchild, designed as a symbol of human resilience and determination after the near loss of their first colony, had become something else entirely in the eyes of the galaxy, a terrifying harbinger of a species that didn't play by the established rules. Well, muttered Commander Chen beside her, so much for a quiet exploratory mission. Ilara's lips curved into a slight smile. Somehow, Nathan, I think quiet was never really in the cards for humanity's first deep space mission. As the bridge crew prepared for first contact with the Concordat, damage control teams were already at work repairing the Thunderchild systems. Earth would need to know about this development as soon as possible. But for now, Captain Voss and her crew represented all of humanity on this new galactic stage. And they had made quite an entrance. The galactic stage. The grand chamber of the Galactic Concordat hummed with anxious energy. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations sat in ascending rings around a central platform where Captain Ilara Voss stood, feeling uncomfortably like a specimen under examination. The Thunderchild had been escorted to the Concordat's diplomatic station, a massive artificial construct orbiting a neutral star, where the first formal introduction of humanity to the galactic community was now taking place. So, rumbled Archon Vrex, the massive, reptilian representative of the Saurian collective, we are expected to believe that a species barely 3 centuries into their space age has, by pure coincidence, developed weapons technology that counters the Kravor Dominion's defenses. A remarkable coincidence. Ilara maintained her composure despite the accusatory tone. Archon, humanity developed our defensive systems independently, in response to our own challenges. We had no knowledge of the Kravor or their technology until 3 days ago. Ambassador Liriani, the crystalline being who had first welcomed the Thunderchild, inclined their translucent head. The human captain speaks truth. According to our preliminary cultural exchange, humans developed along an unusual technological path due to resource constraints and internal conflicts. How convenient for them, hissed a Kravor representative. Dominion Ambassador Kvex was a tall, thin being with iridescent scales and 4 upper limbs, each ending in precision manipulators. And how convenient that their first act upon entering our space was an unprovoked attack on our patrol vessels. Ilara's jaw tightened. Your patrol vessels demanded our immediate surrender and threatened destruction. We responded to direct aggression. The Kravor have long claimed that sector as their exclusive territory, noted Tilari, the avian representative of the Corvid hegemony. Though the Concordat has never officially recognized this claim. Perhaps because the Kravor established their claim by eradicating 3 developing civilizations, countered a gelatinous representative of the Medusozone alliance, their translators rendering their vibrations into understandable speech. The chamber erupted into multiple overlapping arguments. Ilara stood silently, watching the political dynamics at play. Commander Chen had remained aboard the Thunderchild, preparing for any eventuality, while Dr. Reynolds accompanied Ilara as scientific liaison. The xenobiologist leaned closer to her captain. "This isn't really about us," Reynolds whispered. "The Concordat has been divided over Kravor expansion for centuries. We're just the catalyst for a long-brewing conflict." Liriani raised a crystalline appendage, emitting a harmonic tone that quieted the chamber. "Let us not forget why we have convened. A new spacefaring species has joined our galactic community, one with unique perspectives and capabilities. The protocols established after the Sentinel Wars are clear. All qualifying civilizations must be given opportunity for representation. Protocols that exist precisely because of species like the Kravor," added the Medusozoan representative, their gelatinous form pulsing with agitation. Ambassador K-Vex rose to their full height. "The Dominion rejects any formalization of diplomatic relations with these humans. They are primitive, aggressive, and unpredictable. Their vessel utilizes dangerous fold technology without proper containment protocols. Their weapons systems violate multiple Concordat safety treaties. Treaties the Kravor themselves have repeatedly circumvented," noted Tilari with a flutter of wing membranes. Ilara had heard enough. "With respect to this assembly, humanity hasn't come to disrupt your political balance. We are explorers, scientists, and yes, when necessary, defenders. We developed our technology independently, without the benefit of established galactic knowledge. Perhaps that makes our approach unorthodox, but it doesn't make us a threat to peaceful species." She paused, her gaze settling on K-Vex. "The Kravor threatened us without provocation. We defended ourselves. If the Dominion seeks peaceful relations with Earth, we are open to discussion. If they prefer hostility, they've already seen a small demonstration of how we respond to threats." A murmur ran through the assembly, some approving, others concerned by her directness. Archenvrex gave a low, rumbling laugh. "The human speaks plainly. How refreshing in these chambers." Before K-Vex could respond, an aide rushed to their side, chittering urgently in their native language. The Kravor ambassador's posture changed immediately, their scales darkening with what Ilara guessed was alarm. "This assembly is a waste of time," K-Vex announced abruptly. "The Dominion withdraws from these proceedings." As the Kravor delegation swept from the chamber, Ilara's communicator vibrated subtly against her wrist. Something was happening. "Captain," Liriani approached after the formal session had adjourned. "Your ship is signaling you urgently." Ilara nodded. "Ambassador, I appreciate your hospitality, but I need to return to the Thunderchild immediately." "Of course, but be warned, the Kravor do not accept defeat gracefully. Your demonstration of superior technology will not go unanswered." Back aboard the Thunderchild, the situation was grim. Commander Chen met Ilara on the docking bay, his expression tense. "Long-range sensors picked it up 20 minutes ago," he explained as they strode quickly toward the bridge. "A Kravor battle fleet has just entered the system. 17 warships, Captain, all larger than the ones we encountered before." Ilara's mind raced through the implications. They must have called for reinforcements immediately after our first engagement. The Concordat station is scrambling diplomatic channels, trying to establish communication with the fleet. But the Kravor aren't interested in talking," Ilara finished. "Status of our repairs." Shields at 91%. HFY systems fully operational with Dr. Chen's modifications. Kinetic accelerators at 84% capacity. We could use the fold drive to return to Earth space, but we'd lead them directly to Earth, Ilara concluded. Not an option. They reached the bridge, where the tactical display showed the approaching Kravor fleet in alarming detail. "Captain on deck," announced Lieutenant Commander Takeda. "As you were," Ilara responded automatically, her focus on the tactical display. Amara. Analysis. Tactical Officer Okafor looked up from her station. "They've adapted, Captain. Energy signatures show shield modifications specifically designed to counter HFY weapons. They're also generating some kind of kinetic dispersal field that would significantly reduce the effectiveness of our accelerator rounds." "They're quick studies," Ilara muttered. "Options." Dr. Maria Chen's voice came through the comm system from engineering. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from our first encounter. The Kravor ships rely heavily on quantum-aligned power distribution systems. That's why they were so vulnerable to our HFY weapons. The random electromagnetic interference disrupted their precise quantum alignment. And now they've shielded against that," Ilara noted. "Yes, but there's another vulnerability. Their ships use organic crystal computation matrices, incredibly efficient, but dependent on precise thermal regulation. If we could overload their heat management systems." Ilara considered this. "How?" "The fold drive," Maria suggested. "Instead of creating a complete fold space bubble, we could generate a partial field, direct the quantum foam disruption directly at their fleet. The resulting thermal bloom would overwhelm their systems. Would that damage the drive?" Commander Chen asked. "Definitely," Maria admitted. "And we'd need to be dangerously close, but it would affect all their ships simultaneously." Ilara turned to Communications Officer Volkov. "Any response from the Concordat?" "They're officially maintaining neutrality, Captain," he reported. "Ambassador Liriani sends unofficial word that several members are observing with interest, but can't formally intervene without consensus. So we're on our own," Ilara concluded. She straightened her uniform jacket. "Very well. Navigation, plot us an intercept course that brings us within optimal range for Dr. Chen's fold space disruption. Tactical, prepare all conventional weapons as backup. Communications, broadcast a final warning to the Kravor fleet." As the Thunderchild accelerated toward the approaching armada, Ilara composed her message. "Kravor vessels, this is Captain Ilara Voss of the ESV Thunderchild. Your approach with overwhelming military force constitutes an act of aggression against both Earth and the Concordat diplomatic process. We request you withdraw immediately, or we will be forced to defend ourselves. Be advised, our response will be proportional to your aggression." The reply came swiftly. "Human vessel, you have demonstrated technology that threatens Dominion security. Your species represents an unacceptable variable in established galactic order. You will be neutralized." "I guess that's a no," muttered Commander Chen. "All hands, battle stations," Ilara ordered. "Dr. Chen, begin fold drive modifications. We'll give you as much time as possible." The Kravor fleet spread into an attack formation, clearly intending to surround and overwhelm the solitary human vessel. The Thunderchild's enhanced sensors detected energy buildups across the enemy fleet as they prepared to fire. "They're learning," Okafor noted. "Staggered attack pattern. They're not giving us a single target to focus on." "Incoming," Chen shouted as the first volley launched. The Thunderchild shuddered under the coordinated barrage. Emergency systems blared as damage reports flooded in. "Shields at 63%, reported the damage control officer. "They've modified their weapons, much more effective against our defenses now." "Return fire, all operational weapons," Ilara ordered. "Focus on their lid vessel." The Thunderchild's AERF cannons and kinetic accelerators discharged, but as predicted, their effectiveness had been significantly reduced by the Kravor adaptations. "Minimal damage to target," Okafor reported grimly. They've definitely prepared for round two. Another barrage struck the Thunderchild, more powerful than the first. A secondary explosion rocked the port side of the vessel. Shields at 41%. Came the damage report. Hull breach on Deck 7. Emergency containment holding. We've lost 2 HFY emitters. Dr. Chen, status of the full drive modifications. Ilara demanded. Almost there, Captain, Maria's voice replied, strained with concentration. But we need to get closer, much closer. Ilara studied the tactical display. The Kravor ships were maintaining distance, having learned respect for the Thunderchild's capabilities. They were content to whittle down the human vessel from range. They're playing it safe, Commander Chen observed. Smart. Too smart, Ilara agreed. Navigation, full power to engines. Take us directly into the center of their formation. Takeda turned in shock. Captain, you heard me, Lieutenant Commander. They expect us to keep our distance. Let's disappoint them. As the Thunderchild accelerated toward the heart of the Kravor fleet, confusion rippled through the enemy formation. Several ships adjusted position, uncertain how to respond to this seemingly suicidal maneuver. They're breaking formation, Okafor reported, redirecting weapons. They don't want us getting close. That's because they know what we figured out, Ilara said with grim satisfaction. Their ships are optimized for long-range engagement. Get us in close enough, and those fancy organic computers won't handle the heat. The Thunderchild plunged through a gap in the Kravor formation, enduring punishing fire from all sides. Alarm klaxons wailed as systems failed across the ship. Shields at 22%, reported the damage control officer. Multiple hull breaches. Emergency bulkheads engage. Engineering reports the primary power coupling is failing. Range to target optimal, Takeda announced. We're in the middle of their fleet, Captain. Dr. Chen now. Ilara ordered. In engineering, Maria Chen activated the modified fold drive. Instead of generating a complete fold space bubble around the Thunderchild, the drive projected a partial field outward in all directions. Space itself seemed to ripple as quantum foam disruption spread through the Kravor fleet. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The organic crystal systems at the heart of the Kravor vessels, suddenly exposed to massive quantum-level disruption, generated enormous heat blooms that overwhelmed their thermal regulation systems. Ship after ship lost power, their sleek designs now marred by venting plasma and emergency ejections of superheated material. It's working, Okafor exclaimed. 13, 14, 15 Kravor vessels reporting critical system failures. On the bridge, the lights flickered and died. Emergency backups casting the command deck in a red glow. Fold drive is completely burned out, Maria reported, her voice barely audible through the damaged communication system. Primary power offline. Switching to emergency reactors. As the Thunderchild drifted among the disabled Kravor fleet, Ilara took stock of their situation. The human vessel was severely damaged, operating on backup power, with multiple hull breaches and systems failures throughout. But they had survived, and neutralized a force many times their size without destroying a single enemy vessel. Captain, Volkov called from communications, we're receiving transmissions from the Concordat station. Multiple representatives are requesting permission to dispatch aid vessels, and... He paused, surprise evident in his voice. The Kravor High Command is transmitting directly. They're requesting a ceasefire and formal diplomatic recognition of Earth. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Well, Commander Chen said quietly beside Ilara, that's one way to introduce ourselves to the neighborhood. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Open a channel to the Concordat, Pavel, and accept the Kravor request for ceasefire. I think we've made our point. As emergency repair crews worked throughout the damaged vessel, Ilara gazed out at the disabled Kravor fleet. In a single decisive action, the Thunderchild had not only defended itself, but had fundamentally altered humanity's position in the galactic order. Earth hadn't sought this conflict, but they had proven themselves a force to be reckoned with. Message coming in from Ambassador Liriani. Volkov announced. Text only. The message appeared on Ilara's damaged console. Captain Voss, the Concordat formally acknowledges humanity's right to representation. Your demonstration of both military capability and restraint has made quite an impression. The galaxy will never be the same. Welcome to the stars. Ilara leaned back in her command chair, surveying her exhausted but proud crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made first contact, encountered some initial resistance, but have successfully established humanity's presence on the galactic stage. She paused, considering how to explain the complex political situation they had stumbled into, and informed them we'll need more ships, many more ships. As repair vessels from various Concordat species approached the Thunderchild, offering assistance and undoubtedly gathering intelligence, Ilara contemplated the future. Humanity had entered the galactic community not as junior partners to be guided, but as unexpected equals with unique perspectives and capabilities. The Thunderchild's arrival had indeed sent shockwaves across the stars, and the ripples of that first encounter would shape human destiny for generations to come.